In a land where myth and history intertwine, an age-old figure, part demon, part symbol, part mystery, beckons us to question everything we thought we knew about the beginning of humanity. Did you know that Adam had a wife before Eve? Did you know that long before Eve, there was another woman at the dawn of creation? Her name was Lilith. In shadows cast by the first glimmer of Eden, Lilith's figure looms as one of defiance, power, and mystery. Far from the docile companion who came after her, she was a woman forged not from the rib of Adam, but from the same earth, equal, independent, and untamed. Legends say she left Eden willingly, for she could not bear to bow to anyone, not even to Adam, the man she was created alongside. To understand Lilith, we must start in Genesis. The Bible presents two distinct creation stories. The first states that man and woman were created together, in the image of God, as equals. In the second story, Eve is fashioned from Adam's rib as a companion. Could this be a clue to a deeper hidden history, a nod to a story left out of the official narrative? Scholars argue that these discrepancies reflect ancient myths woven into the fabric of Genesis, a glimpse into a version of creation that the world chose to forget. Lilith's legend isn't merely a tale of disobedience, it's a tale that cuts across civilizations. The Sumerians, one of the first literate cultures, had stories of dark spirits called Lilu, night creatures that haunted the winds and forests. These spirits, feared as bringers of death and disease, were symbols of the darker sides of nature. Lilith's myth likely took root here in ancient Mesopotamia, as a spectral being moving between shadows and the night winds. In one of the earliest recorded myths, Inanna and the Hulupu tree, Lilith lurks in the heart of an ancient tree, causing the goddess Inanna frustration until the hero Gilgamesh drives her out. She is not yet the demonic mother of legends, but a wild spirit, a reminder that nature itself cannot be tamed. But as time passed, Lilith's image began to darken. Over centuries, her myth traveled, transforming, shaped by each civilization that encountered her. By the time of the Hebrew Bible, Lilith was no longer merely a creature of night and wind. She had become a true demoness, a symbol of disorder, a creature to be feared. In the book of Isaiah, she's referenced in a single line. The desert creatures will meet with the hyenas, and wild goats will bleat to each other. The night creature will settle there and find rest, a whisper, an acknowledgement of something just beyond human understanding. Some translations of the Bible even call this creature Lilith directly, her presence lurking as an ominous figure in the desert wilderness. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, Lilith is grouped with other dark spirits and malevolent beings. Her character aligns with creatures that frighten, disrupt, and punish, a shadowy woman with wings, dangerous to men and newborns alike. For centuries, Lilith embodied the fears of the night, fear of losing loved ones, fear of the unknown, fear of that which could not be controlled. But the most powerful account of Lilith's defiance comes from the Alphabet of Ben Sira, a medieval text that marks the first fully detailed depiction of Lilith as Adam's first wife. Here she emerges as a symbol of uncompromising independence. Created from the same soil as Adam, Lilith was neither submissive nor silent. When she and Adam argued about their roles, especially when Adam demanded her submission, she refused, insisting that she was his equal, that no man, not even the one made beside her, had the right to dominate her. Their arguments came to a head when she, in a fit of frustration, called upon the forbidden, ineffable name of God, using it to gain the power to escape Eden. This act of invoking divine power marked her departure from paradise and her refusal to live under Adam's terms. She left Eden on her own terms, abandoning the life that she saw as confinement, choosing self-exile over submission. And with this, her transformation began. Lilith, the first woman, became Lilith, the first demoness. God, seeing Adam alone, created Eve, a woman made from Adam himself to ensure she would be a helper rather than an equal. But Lilith was far from gone. Legends say that as she wandered the earth, 3 angels were sent to retrieve her. They found her and begged her to return to Adam. warning that dire consequences would follow her defiance. Yet Lilith, unbowed, refused. She made a compromise instead. She would leave children who bore her name in peace if they wore protective amulets engraved with the names of those angels. Her legend now carried with it a cautionary protection, an acknowledgement of her power and a fear of it. In this time of self-imposed exile, she became something else entirely. Her identity took on aspects of the darkest elements of femininity. She was no longer just a rebel, but a creature of desire and darkness, a being who seduced men and preyed upon children. But even in this fearsome role, she retained elements of mystery and power. Her presence in the Talmud and medieval texts depicted her as both alluring and terrifying. Her legacy became an amalgamation of feminine power, one that man tried to restrain and contain, even as they feared it. Through the centuries, Lilith's image persisted, reappearing in Jewish texts as an archetype of the dangerous, uncontrollable woman. In medieval times, her image reached a fever pitch. She became, in the folklore of incantation bowls and protective charms, the ultimate threat to infants and pregnant women. People in ancient Babylon crafted bowls with inscriptions designed to ward off her wrath, filling their homes with symbols to protect themselves from the specter of the woman who had dared defy man and God alike. Yet, even as she was demonized, her story resonated with something universal, something timeless. Women saw in Lilith a figure of untamed femininity, a mirror to their own silent rebellions against social constraints. Through the ages, as her tale transformed, she grew from the figure of a feared demoness to an icon of female empowerment. She became a figure who refused to be bound, a woman who chose the loneliness of exile over a life without agency. In the 13th century mystical text, the Zohar, Lilith takes on another role. Here she is cast as the bride of the demon king Samael, a chaotic counterforce to the divine feminine. Yet even here she defies simplistic villainy. She becomes a mystical symbol of feminine energy in the form of what Kabbalists saw as divine otherness. In this tradition, Lilith represented the very forces of nature that could never be fully controlled or understood. Today, her story is retold in a new light. Lilith has come to represent an archetype of resilience and strength, of independence that defies tradition. Reclaimed by feminist movements, she has moved from demon to icon, from outcast to symbol of feminine rebellion. Artists, writers, and thinkers find in her tale a source of inspiration, celebrating the figure who left Eden of her own free will. So here we stand, looking back at the ancient legend, seeing both the demon and the woman she became. Lilith asks us to question what stories are told and which are hidden. Her tale blurs the line between myth and reality, giving us a glimpse of something primal and enduring, a call from the ancient past that still resonates. She reminds us that myths are not static. They grow, change, and evolve, just as we do. And so, as we look upon Lilith's story, we see a woman who defied the ages, a symbol of what is most feared and most celebrated in human nature. She left Eden not for the promise of forbidden knowledge, but for the promise of freedom. Freedom to exist as herself, neither servant nor slave, but a woman in her own right. Through her legend, she asks us all, what stories do we choose to believe, and what truths might still be hidden within them? Lilith's journey from the earliest civilizations to the pages of modern thought tells us that myth, like history, is written by those who endure, and her legacy has endured. In the end, Lilith's true nature may remain elusive, but her story continues to captivate and inspire. What we know for certain is that she represents the struggle for freedom and equality, values that have resonated with people across centuries and cultures. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an adventure with us.